but every day is its own thing. And how can I make every day a day I want to live in? Every day something I want to be inside of. And that's just what I started looking at and kind of guessing. And I still don't really have a great picture of that, but I've definitely realized that as humans, you need to progress, you need to have progression, you need growth, or you're stagnant and then you start feeling bad and your biochemistry punishes you. Like if you're not doing the right things, physiologically, your body will not be doing the right things as well. Like it's just, you won't feel good.
What's up, y'all? DFoss back here with another LT360 podcast. I'm super excited to talk to a former colleague of mine, really good friend, someone that got pretty close with, and we have a lot in common over the last about year and a half. So I'm super excited to introduce and bring on Mr. Brad Thele. He is the owner and founder of Octane Fitness down here in South Florida. Former collegiate volleyball player, awesome guy, just good energy, good vibes only. Wore the shirt for him. So super excited. I think you guys will have a lot to take out of him. Brad, thank you for being on, dude.
Thank you, man. Wow, quite the intro.
Yeah, I mean, you deserve it.
I appreciate it, man.
Of course. So you are in Delray, obviously. Are you in, actually, is it Boca or is it Delray? What is it considered?
It's Delray, like right on the edge of Boca. I think we're
Okay.
unincorporated. I don't really know what
Oh
that
yeah,
means.
you're in one of those zones.
Yeah.
You're not a real place. You're like,
Yeah, I don't exist.
um, that's interesting. That's cool. I mean, you just get off the grid pretty easy then, I guess. Yeah.
Exactly.
So Brad and I worked together at Grabbing an Oxygen for a while. I had the pleasure of handing off some stuff to Brad, and Brad is an interesting story coming from a totally different industry and then going into fitness. But being a former athlete, from the moment I met Brad, it was just like good vibes. It was just, he's a nice dude, good to be around. Um, he's not there to like steal the show or be a cocky guy or show off or do anything ridiculous. He just goes with the flow, and he's willing to work hard, and he does work hard. And that's part of the thing that me and him connected on too. So Brad, let's dive into your story, because mine's pretty boring. I grew up in one place and lived there for like 20 years. You definitely did not.
No,
Uh,
that's true.
your mom, who's awesome. How's mom and Notch? How are they doing?
Doing great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nachi's still working at tennis center. My mom's traveling in Spain right now, so she's living the dream.
Oh, lucky. She's
Yeah.
killing it.
Without
All
me.
right.
So
Yeah, without you. She's at that point in her life. She's like,
yeah.
I'm leaving the kids somehow. I don't need to take them anywhere. Um, she moved. I mean, you guys moved around enough as kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, your mom is awesome. Just his whole family is extremely nice. So yeah, of course. Give us a background. Where did you grow up? I know, but let them know.
All right. Yeah. So
And give us that picture. Draw a picture of your childhood if you could with words.
sure. All right. Wow. So I was born in Utah. Lived there for 5 years. Remember some of that, but I have family there, so we visit pretty often in Salt Lake. So once I was 5, we moved to Ohio. I stayed there from the time I was 5 to 10. Had a lot of good times there. That's when I really got into more sports, and I was playing little league football and basketball and just like pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Then we moved down to Florida when I was 10. So I kind of mostly grew up down here from 10 until college.
And you were in Boca the whole time?
Yeah, we were in Boca. So we haven't, like, my parents still have that house right now. So
That's cool.
not too far from me.
Yeah. What made you guys move? Was it like your parents' job? I know your mom, played basketball and was very competitive, very good. And then didn't necessarily that didn't have a chance to follow through, but I don't really know what your dad does or
Oh
did, or
yeah.
what made you guys move.
Yeah, so he's like a business consultant, so he'll go to different cities and just help businesses out with like what they're doing, their operations, all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's
Streamlining things.
yeah, exactly. Really complicated. I don't want to go into too much of that because I'd probably do it. I wouldn't do it justice for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he was doing that with Franklin Covey at first, and then he switched jobs and then moved, and then we did the same thing. And he was like, "Okay, I'm doing something different," and we moved down to Florida.
Gotcha.
So he was pursuing a different job at a different company, and then he ended up back at Franklin Covey anyways.
Okay.
So it didn't really matter, and now he just kind of travels all over, and yeah, we
So
just
South Florida's the hub, but you can just go anywhere
yeah,
and do his job that way. Gotcha.
yeah.
But
Now
it
that
was
we can
mostly
pick, South
him.
Florida is a place to be, man.
Yeah, no, dude, it's not bad.
Yeah.
um, so what drove you, obviously, like moving around, you found a lot of like companionship and friendship through sports, I would imagine, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But you grew up with sisters.
Yeah,
Um, so you didn't have necessarily have a lot of that. And you're the oldest?
yeah,
Cool. So you didn't necessarily have a lot of the like companionship at home to like, wrestle around and like be a
yeah, yeah. Not
rambunctious
as
kid.
much for sure.
Yeah, cool.
I mean, my sisters are both athletes, but yeah, definitely not the
Okay,
same.
not the same. Definitely not the same. Um, and then when it comes to getting into sports, you obviously ended up playing collegiate volleyball. But
Mhm.
when did that become like evident? You're like, I want to be a volleyball player.
That was a weird transition because I was in high school and I was just playing all the sports, like just every
Mhm.
sport I could, right? And so I'm like, okay, my first sport, I didn't like baseball at the time, so I was gonna play lacrosse, and that's what I played in
Mhm.
middle school. But then my high school was like, okay, we're gonna charge you $650 just to play, and then you have to go and get your own equipment and whatever. And I was just, I
Dang.
don't, that's so expensive. I'm not doing that. So it was that or volleyball or baseball. And I had seen a volleyball game. That was the first time I even knew guys could play at that time. I thought it was like a girl sport. I didn't know. I was just like, what is this? and,
That's hilarious. I did not know that.
and then so I was like, all right, I'll just go like try to play that because those guys seem pretty cool. Like I liked their energy, like the vibe they put
Yeah.
off. And I just started playing and I was really bad at first. And I was on the JV team. Everyone already knew the rules. I had no idea what was going on. Like I had those big knee pads,
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
big puffy ones. Oh, it's hilarious.
That's actually, I wish I could see that. I wish I could see high school 14-year-old Brad in some massive knee pads on the
Yeah,
volleyball
man.
court, just looking around like, what's going on, dude?
What's that?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
great.
So I mean, I just kept playing. I really liked it, so I just got better. And then people told me to play club. Like they're just like, "Oh, we're all gonna play. So you might as well go play too." And I dropped football by my sophomore year, so
Hmm.
I had the time. I was like, "Okay, let me go do that and play club." And then it just got better and better at volleyball, and I was more and more mediocre at basketball.
Okay.
So it's just like I'm gonna go do the thing I'm getting much better at, and I just like really resonated with all the people and made a lot more friends there. So it just became
Gotcha.
the kind of the thing I went into.
Interesting. So that happened like sophomore, junior year.
Yeah, yeah. Sophomore year was when I like started getting better to the point
Hmm.
where I was like, okay, I'm on varsity and I'm playing on the club team. And then junior year was like, okay, I'm gonna play in college. Let me start finding out where I'm going.
Cool. That was my next question. I was gonna state the fact that I stopped playing football. Well, I only played football my freshman year and my senior year. I
Mm.
was so tiny my freshman year, and
Yeah, dude.
going into sophomore year, they're like, "You gonna come back and play?" I'm like, "Fuck no, I'm tiny. You want me like
Yeah,
I'm playing freshman football? You want
yeah,
me to
dude.
go
Like
play
this
JV
hurts.
varsity? Yeah,
These
like
guys are
no.
huge.
I'm 5 feet tall. I weigh 105 pounds. How do you want
Uh-huh.
me to compete?"
Yeah, man.
and then at the same time, I stopped playing baseball in school when I got to high school. So
Mm.
I did not play, but that was my number one thing. I was always a very good baseball player.
Okay.
And then eventually, once high school came around, I liked basketball so much more and I was getting better at it, but I was
Mhm.
tiny. So small.
Yeah,
But at
yeah.
least there's like a position for small people
Right.
in
Exactly.
basketball. I'm like, okay, like I can make this work.
Hmm.
And once you play on a bigger baseball field and you're small, you have almost you can't hit, you can't throw, you can't
Yeah.
cover the same amount of ground as a an infield or an outfielder. So I just like lost interest in baseball, and that's when I started really getting into basketball too. So I can definitely resonate with that. It's funny at that like
Hmm.
14, 15, you start
Yeah.
to like, okay, I want this. And the funny part was my sophomore year of high school, I grew 7 inches
Whew.
in between my freshman football season
Hmm.
and my sophomore basketball season. So you think like August of freshman year to whatever October
Hmm.
of sophomore year, and I grew 7 inches and gained like 35 pounds. So I still wasn't
Whew.
big by any means,
But yeah,
but I
dude, that's a
was,
huge difference.
yeah, I was like, whoa, whoa, I can like, I'm somewhat near like a respectable size now.
Yeah.
um, so that definitely propelled me to play more basketball too,
Hmm.
which was cool. But I was gonna ask you because I know that I was like, yes, going to college for this, and then I was like, nah, and then I was like, yes again. For
Uh-huh.
you, when did that happen? Were you said junior year? You're like, I want to play college volleyball.
Yeah, yeah, it's when club started going pretty well. Like we were winning all of the tournaments and stuff in the region. Like we became the best team in South Florida. Um so I
Sick.
was like, yeah, I'm
And you're
definitely gonna
playing with the
play.
same kids.
Yeah, I ended up playing my club team kind of solidified around my junior year. My sophomore
Mhm.
year was like kind of always changing. We were picking up kids and
Mhm.
whatever. But then my junior year, like we solidified, we kind of kept that same core group of guys and like a few people would come in and out.
Cool.
But that's when we were just doing really well and we just kept playing and winning the tournaments. I was like, all right, we're going somewhere, so I want to play. And then eventually I was like, I'm just gonna go to UCF and play club and just bounce
Okay.
balls and do whatever.
Yep.
And then ended up getting an offer from NJIT where I went and I was like, it would be cooler to play D1 than
Yeah,
just go
that
play club.
play for real. Yeah.
Yeah, like to play real
No, that's
volleyball.
dope.
Yeah.
Imagine we both ended up. I applied to UCF.
Did you?
That was one of my very early acceptances. I
Oh
had
man.
Coastal Carolina, UCF.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't get into Tampa because I applied to the nursing program, which is like extremely difficult.
Oh yeah. I actually
Um,
know from Remy.
what'd you say?
I actually know that that's tough because my
Yeah,
sister is in
your
nursing. So
sister applied.
yeah.
Interesting. So yeah, I mean that's funny. Imagine we were both just playing club basketball and volleyball at
Dude, that'd
UCF. We
be.
would have met like 10 years ago. Um, Wild. And so you graduated 2012, so you're a year older, right?
Yeah, yeah. Graduated high school in 2012.
Yeah. Did you ever stay back moving so much? Or did you just always propel?
Yeah, I think we just moved at good times. I don't really remember what
Yeah.
it was like. I think
You never did a grade over.
yeah, no, I stayed the same the whole time. So
Interesting. That's rare, I feel like.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird now that I think about it.
Well, 5 and 10. So I guess you probably had just started school.
Hmm.
And it did like kindergarten or first grade, and then you moved.
Yeah, yeah. I remember preschool in Utah,
Mm-hmm.
and then I don't remember where I did kindergarten actually. So,
Mom.
hmm.
That's
But I do
funny.
remember first grade being in Ohio, so I
Okay, gotcha.
think it was there.
That makes sense then. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was pretty ideal times. And you're what, 10 years old is like sixth or seventh grade. That makes sense.
Yeah.
End of
Yeah, I was like I think
end
fifth
of
grade.
elementary school.
Yeah.
How about your
Yeah,
sisters?
I moved and I started fifth grade that year.
So how about your sisters? Did they ever stay back?
No, I think they stayed the same too. But when Remy moved, she was like tiny. I don't even think she was in
Yeah,
school yet.
she wasn't in school. That makes sense.
And then Alex was 2 grades younger than me. So I think she just did the same thing I did, just kept going.
Yeah. Sweet. Smart kids.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure they are. Alex especially crazy.
So, all right, you get to NJIT. Um, you obviously had lived up north, sort of, right? You were,
Mhm.
it's pretty like on a longitudinal, is it longitude or latitude? It's longitude. Latitude's vertical, right?
Forgot.
Yeah, whatever.
I used to
It's
know
close. Ohio and New Jersey are pretty synonymous.
that.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
just west and east of each other. So what was like your initial thoughts, like leaving home, going to NJIT, or like going to play volleyball,
I was
college? Were you like,
I was excited. I was
yeah,
just like, get me out of the house type vibe, you know?
yeah, you were
Just
okay,
like ready for freedom. That was it.
cool, cool. Because you grew up, I mean, your parents aren't like extreme assholes and strictness, but you definitely were a
Mm.
little.
Yeah, when I was growing up, it was a lot more strict than the older I got. Like the older I got, the less it became an issue. And it was mostly because of me. Like I broke all the rules,
Okay,
got in
yeah.
trouble, and I
Okay,
got
so you were
grounded.
that guy. All
And then
right.
I made the way for my sisters to be able to have a little bit more freedom. But I had
Right.
to suffer all
You
the
broke down the barriers a little bit.
yeah, pretty much.
That's how I grew up on the opposite end. I grew up on Remy's end of the spectrum where
Yeah, 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 right.
my
Because
my my brothers and sisters messed absolutely everything up. And I got to just walk and breeze through.
yeah,
Um, that makes sense then. Okay. So you were definitely like, I just want out. I just want to do my
yeah,
thing.
for
Vibe.
sure.
Cool. So what did were you obviously New Jersey Institute of Technology? You studied and got your degree in what exactly?
Yeah, I got my bachelor's in information technology, and that was with a focus in web development. So just like making websites and front end stuff.
Gotcha.
And then got my master's in information systems,
Mm-hmm.
which I didn't really have a focus. I just did a bunch of general things like video game design, graphic design, UI, UX, and then like project management, a few things like that.
Yeah. Which
So,
is what you ended up getting a career in, was project
yeah,
management, which was like a smaller thing compared to everything that you did
yeah.
before.
I
But
took
you
like two
worked,
classes.
yeah, but you worked for tech companies.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
So it was a lot of crossover for sure.
Yeah. All right. Now this is how you sold us on hiring you. So this story, I feel like a lot of people can relate to, right?
Hmm.
I feel like there's so much out there uh with, you know, just the sense of like, suffer through it, make your money, do what you got to do kind of vibe, right?
Yeah.
And so many people come to us now, right? As
Hmm.
people who can help with physical and nutritional and overall mental health,
Yeah.
on a superficial level a little bit, but w- they come to us because they're not happy, because their
Hmm.
job has ridden them down into the ground, because their job has taken up so much of their time and focus and energy that they have not given themselves proper time, energy,
Right.
proper, you know, just self-awareness, right?
Hmm.
So how did how did that click? Just share the story. I'm messing it
No,
up.
no. I mean, that's the idea, right? So I was working at these jobs. They're great jobs. The people were awesome. Like I worked with really nice people. They're really cool. Like I enjoyed talking to them. They were super helpful. They always wanted me to improve. They were offering me classes, and I was just like still feeling useless. I
Mm,
didn't feel like what I was doing would make a difference. If I did a great job on something, the project would continue. If I did a bad job, the project would be ruined. But if
mm,
I did an amazing job, the best job that I could ever do, poured my life and soul, the project would go on. Like I was just doing nothing impactful. I
gotcha.
wasn't creating anything that would actually help people. I was just guiding stuff along, kind of putting in my hours. So it was like they told me what to do. I would just get it done. I would get my money, and it was cool. And they were nice about it. And they were offering stuff to get better and make more money in the future. But I didn't feel I was improving as a person. And I just felt a lot of atrophy in general, like as a person and fitness wise as well. Like I just wasn't working out, mentally was really fatigued all the time, never wanted to do anything. Anytime I got off, I just wanted to escape straight to video games, just movies, whatever. don't get me involved in it. Like I just didn't want to do anything. I
Mhm.
just hated life. And I was like, this is what life is. You go to school, you get out, you get a job, and you die. And I was just like, this, it just felt terrible to me. Like it felt like the weight of the world on me, and this is life, and you have to deal with it until you're dead. And it's just no way out. And I was just like, okay, this can't be it. Cause I got really low. I reached that bottom. I was like, there's no point to life. And
Mhm.
once I was there, I was like, all right, there's two choices, man. You leave or you figure out a way to make this life worth it. And what do I do for that? So I just started thinking and trying to figure out what would give me purpose, what helps, like what's the reason people do stuff, like things that to me would have no meaning. Why didn't they have meaning? And what could give me meaning? And why did I feel so bad all the time? And then you realize it's like, well, I'm not working out. I'm eating like absolute garbage all the time, like eating boxes of Oreos. Like that's just poison. And then I'm doing nothing to improve myself. So it's just I'm doing all the wrong things and I'm wondering why life sucks so hard. And then I was like, okay, so let's just start taking charge of these little things and then see what life would be, is because it wasn't just, oh, maybe I'll go play beach volleyball and be the best and win a world championship. Because if I win that championship, that's just one day, like cool. But every day is its own thing. And how can I make every day a day I want to live in? Every day something I want to be inside of. And that's just what I started looking at and kind of guessing. And I still don't really have a great picture of that, but I've definitely realized that as humans, you need to progress, you need to have progression, you need growth, or you're stagnant and then you start feeling bad and your biochemistry punishes you. Like if you're not doing the right things, physiologically, your body will not be doing the right things as well. Like it's just, you won't feel good.
Yeah, um, your authenticity
Mm-hmm.
uh, plays out every day, and the authentic frequency that we put out is actually the strongest frequency that
Yeah,
we
man.
have able to experience in the human body, and it changes your biochemistry,
Mm-hmm.
the lack thereof or the presence of it. The
Yeah.
authenticity changes the biochemistry to literally make life harder or easier.
Yeah.
And your perception is your reality, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's something that Amy says all the time, and I love it, and I love her for it. But it's like
Yeah.
it's so true, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
your perception is your reality. Like what you're going through in here is nothing else really matters in a lot of ways,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because we've lost the survival, day-to-day thing, right? Like so but because of it, our brain is wired to fix problems.
Right.
So we're going to find every little problem we possibly can, and that's why people don't like Karens, because they just they
Yeah.
find the thing wrong with like the line at Starbucks, and it's like
Yeah.
what you choose to focus on is then a different thing. Yes, your brain is wired to find a problem. And I was just listening to something with Shaq, and he's like, find solutions. When you stop focusing on the problem,
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge it, move the fuck on. What's the solution?
Yeah,
Then
man.
you start to have a sense of like, I have the ability to change this reality, this
Yeah.
perception. And you start to go through the challenges, and you start to get challenged mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. And because of that, you grow through what you go through. So you start to have more self-respect, and you start to want to seek those things out. I want to get better. I want
Yeah.
to improve. I want to enjoy, my afternoon. So I'm going to make my morning something that is safe but challenging, right? I'm going to put
Right.
myself through something that has end results, and that makes me more present and grateful for something else later in that day. And just hearing you tell your side of what you went through um is so
just mind opening. It's like, okay, you got there. You were rock bottom, bro. Like,
Mhm.
blessed to have you here, right? And like, what did you do? You were like, solution. What can I do? What can I
Yeah.
figure out? What can I take advantage of? And that ultimately came down to like eat healthier, move more, right?
Yeah.
And now it's like you you took that and you said, okay, I want to teach other people how to do that.
Yeah.
Is that what transpired and said, what you decided to do ultimately was get your personal training certification, right?
Yeah.
Through Axiom and NASM. And now you are, you might be working harder than you ever did before and making less money than you did before, but you're like,
Mhm.
I'm in control. I'm doing something that I find value in, and I'm putting myself through challenges. I'm making myself better, but I'm also helping other people on that journey. Is that
Mhm.
how you perceive it? Is that how you got to that point?
Yeah, yeah, more or less. I mean, it really came down to just seeing that I needed a solution, and the solution wasn't in the work I was doing. And that, I think my skill and technology and all the stuff that I focus was kind of a trap for me because it was always leading me down a path where I wasn't improving or getting better or working on myself or helping other people. So
Mhm.
for me, the first thing I grabbed onto was the thing that helped me get out, with that's fitness and nutrition, because those are huge key components. And I think so many people are missing out on that. And I was like, I can help people now. I can work on this now. I can get this certification. I can make an impact. And then I can just work on whatever I want that to turn into. It doesn't have to just stay there. Like I can work on other things. I can involve technology and do whatever I want to do as long as it's continuously growing and helping people. And just, I think I couldn't be okay with just living day by day and escaping all the time.
Mhm.
Because once you look at yourself and you realize that you're not helpful or doing anything, like you just you you can't continue that way. Once you see it and once you admit it and you realize that you're doing nothing and you're wasting your time,
Mhm.
you have to take that next step and do something different.
Yeah, it's self-awareness we talked about before.
Yeah.
And step one is acknowledge it. Step two is move on and find the solution.
Yeah.
So, um, forever respect and commended you for going through that process and leaving a cushy job, right? Like,
Yeah.
you were fresh out of college doing very well by,
Yeah.
United States average, perspective.
For sure, man.
Right, like you're on the higher end of what kids want when they get out of college, and
Hmm.
then you got there and were like, yeah, but it's not me. It's not authentic to who I am or what I want to do. And
Yeah.
I'm sure some people enjoy it, and I'm sure a larger percentage of people who do those jobs are just kind of skating by and lying to themselves, right?
Yeah. Because of
Um,
the money. It's the golden
because of the
handcuffs.
money, yeah. And it's uh once again, like, back to that concept of like, just do the thing that's going to get you ahead financially, and then you can stop doing it and do what you want. And it's like,
Mhm.
work the custodian job at midnight, to 7 a.m., and then do your day job 7 a.m. to 5 until you
Mhm.
have your own custodial business. And it's like, yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah,
one
but
impacts the other, and one takes time. And like, yes, there's the do one thing and work the side hustle, and there's just has to be a balance of those things, and there has to be a balance and an understanding of like, if this is the only thing I'm doing, why is it that I'm doing that and that only? How is it
yeah.
actually impacting my brain chemistry, my perception of who I am and what I bring to the world every day?
Yeah.
So,
Like I think the biggest thing too that made me realize that, I just had to create something of my own was that I looked at, oh, if I retired, I could do anything I wanted. And I was like,
mhm,
but I do all the things I want now. I play all the video games, I do the things, and I hate my life. So if I retired, I would just hate my life even more. Like I would just, I'd have those days I just lay on the bed and just like, what's the point of anything? Like the video games don't matter,
Yeah.
sports don't matter, nothing matters.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I have to cultivate something inside me, like a belief, a goal, these things that can actually contribute or mean something to someone or any kind of person or just whatever, But I realized that it doesn't matter. If I worked all those years and I still hated life after, what was the point of working all those years?
Yeah. And
You
having all the
know?
money and doing
Yeah,
all that.
I
Yeah.
I think that's the classic money doesn't buy happiness that people don't really think about until it's almost too late. And then they're like retired and like useless and they haven't moved their bodies and now they're frail and they can't do anything and just sit on the TV and
You know what I've come to realize too is people that have a lot of money but aren't happy with how they get it buy
Mhm.
things. They buy things. So they upgrade their superficial lifestyle, right? They
Yeah.
buy things. Whereas the people who are making a lot of money and doing what they want buy experiences.
Yeah, that's really insightful. I like that.
I've started to notice that really in like piecing those things together. And I can see it within myself too. If I'm like run down and I'm just not having a good balanced like week or month, I'll
Mhm.
just I'm more likely to go like searching for something to like buy that's like,
Right.
70 or 80 bucks. It's not breaking the bank, but it's like, dude, you didn't need that extra pair of
Yeah. And
shoes.
then it doesn't
Like
solve the
why'd you
problem. Yeah.
yeah, and it's not but then, if I'm in a really good place, I know I'm like putting money away towards like an experience. Like I'm putting money towards skydiving, scuba diving, a trip to the Keys with Amy, and like, like I start
Yeah.
to think about those things. And then I just started putting that together and like looking at some people and like especially our clients, right? Like you
Mhm.
see them or their parents and you're like, this person makes a lot of money, but they don't seem too happy, but they seem to have all the things that would make, somebody
Yeah.
happy, right?
Right.
And then you see the other people and like I have a client that's like he just sold a jet company and he's chilling, bro. No
Mhm.
kids, lives a crazy ass life, but he like comes in, you can't tell that he's worth so much money, like not even
Mhm.
fathomable to us, right? He's like coming in like regular ass clothes, doesn't care, doesn't do it, but every weekend he's going somewhere. He's
Mhm.
going to like go on a trip. He's going to a resort, or he's going to like just surf in Costa Rica, or like he's just doing what he likes to do, and like
Yeah.
that's just looking at the perspective and the change and watching some of that is the classic, like money doesn't buy happiness.
Yeah, man.
Because it's purpose. I think purpose is happiness. I think purpose and love
Yeah,
is joy, right? And
of
I
course.
think, you know, that's the other thing too that I was stuck on is like I was 19, 18, and like I automatically had a vision like I don't want to fucking work within like the
Mhm.
confinements of normal
Yeah, dude.
United States world.
Yeah.
And like thankfully and that just happened to me early and I didn't go through that process
Mhm.
necessarily. And then like looking at it now, it's like the ability for me to do that and start early made me think like, oh, I got to get all this done before I go have the other parts of life. Before I have the family and the baby, and I want to
Mhm.
get all this stuff accomplished so I have all the things and I can pay for all the experiences before I like. So I had the purpose, but I didn't have like the other things alongside that, right?
Right.
And now it's like, oh, finally, like they're coming together and they're meant to grow together at the same time. And like you're
Mhm.
the opposite end. You found Nachi and early and you got married
Yeah.
early. And like
Yeah.
then you were just living your cushy job life and you're like, oh, this sucks. Like, what am I
Yeah.
gonna do? And now, you guys are obviously you guys are she's just so supportive of you too, right? Like
Mhm.
in what you're pursuing and going through. And she is just good vibes too. And it's cool when you can have those two things together, because it just obviously fuels one another.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, it's just all the pieces of the puzzle of life, man. You need
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
them, right?
No, and there's a billion that we don't even know about, right? We're like
Yeah.
sitting here feeling like we know what we're talking about,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
but like there's just a better sense of joy, right? Like
For sure.
you know. So anyways, you started working with us at GNO, right? So the story continues. You get out of your job and you get your Axiom Academy shindig on. You're studying for your personal training certification. You come over to work at GNO. What was like some of the most profound stuff that you learned that like just sticks in your head? Like think of like the first 3 months of like personal training and just being in the industry. Like what are some things that were just like, oh shit, like I'll never forget that?
I mean, the first thing was, I'd never been in like a group gym environment before.
Mm-hmm.
So coming in and then just there's so many people being super authentic
Yeah.
all at once. And I'd never seen that. Like not even close, I don't know. There's just some kind of, when I was in college, my teammates, there's always some like thing that's going on,
Yeah,
some
yeah. You always feel
power.
like someone's always kind of like hiding something, right?
Yeah. Even though like you're great friends and whatever, but like it's just so many people that they're so far along in life, like they've solved so many things, but they're also just like there to work out, and you're there to do it too, and you're there to help them. And it's just the community and authenticity, and then just being yourself makes people like you more. Like that.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking, man. That's crazy. Like, I don't know. I was always super guarded and really paranoid, like most of my life. And that was one of the biggest things for me that was an issue. And to come in and just the more I was myself, the more people related and were nice to me. I was like, wow, that's actually really crazy.
Yeah. And they genuinely care. Like,
Yeah, and they really
on
care.
your
And then I really cared about them. And I was like, wait, people can like work at places and then care about the clients. Like
yeah.
it's not just like a
Do
dynamic
you
of.
feel like that authenticity wasn't there when you were doing those other jobs, or do you just feel like your guard was up more?
I think my, I think it's a mix of the people, right? Like in a business environment, everyone's just got that wall up, it's like, oh, how you doing? And then you just talk about surface stuff. No one's ever really real. I had one guy who I worked with who we would regularly talk about this like deep stuff and like what I was struggling with. And like that was one person, right?
Yeah.
And that to me was the first time that's ever happened. And so I was like, oh, I've just found the one guy that's on my wavelength. Like I just thought it was like not a thing.
There's only one or two other guys out there for sure.
Yeah. And I think the exposure was a big difference, and just kind of putting myself in that environment and realizing that, hey, other people trying to get better is the place to find other people that have the same kind of mindset.
That's a good point, right? We all have we're all there for a similar reason, right? It's got a different undertone for all of us, but like, well, everyone's there because they're like physically trying to improve themselves. They're emotionally just trying to balance themselves out, or like,
Yeah.
they socially just want to have some sort of community and
Yeah.
support group, right? So uh, I would say that I had the exact same experience because I worked at a personal training only gym. I went to a school where like it was 90% like rich white kids. I did not see eye to eye with those people.
Yeah.
So when I I moved, and like I had, a close group of 5 or 6 friends that I was really good with at school.
Mhm.
And then I moved, right? And I really hadn't experienced anything since like my high school friends that were like my boys, like,
Yeah.
the sleepover kind of kids, right? Like
Yeah.
we did everything together.
Right.
So I didn't experience anything like that. That was just like super authentic and just me being like a fucking
Mhm.
idiot and goofball like I am.
Yeah.
Because I
And
come off so like, like cool, calm, collected. Dylan doesn't really have any emotion, and like he's just kind of whatever. And I developed that, I think, through the process of being at college, and then thinking like, oh, I have to have this super professional like composure all the time if I want to be taken serious as like a businessman, an entrepreneur, and
Right.
at a young age, and and then working at a personal training only gym when I first started here, and then all of a sudden going to G&O, and I was, what is going on here? It's like overload. There's so much, and but it did open me up for sure. And then like you watching you too, like start teaching group classes, and then just like you could joke around and you could like have fun and do whatever, and you started to like come into your own. That happened for me, so I could see it happening. I like saw it.
You see the process.
I saw it occurring for you, and it was like exciting, because I remember like being so like timid and not passionate whatsoever when I first started teaching classes, and just like, and then you just get to a point where you're just like, I'll just say and do whatever, just like I don't care.
I just don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just like doing me right now.
And not, I don't care is a bad way to say it, but like,
I agree.
Because like I feel comfortable doing it, like I'm not worried about, like, these people know who I am. They know what I bring to the table. They, have fun. I'm here to like entertain a little bit. So like, let me just have fun with it. Be a goofball. If something weird comes to my head, I'm going to say it. Like,
and like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They'll just be like, that was weird. And they'll be like,
no,
that was weird.
Yeah, whatever. Half of the time they're not paying attention, right? Because they're all there working out, they're exercising. And it's cool just to be a part of their day, right? And that gives you a sense of purpose and passion, and I'm sure you started to feel all of that much more than you ever had before.
For sure.
So now let's turn to the personal training side, because it's two totally different worlds, right? Like being a group class instructor and being a personal trainer. Then you have to talk to someone consistently for an hour. Is like, whoa, how do I do this? So what have you learned through that process, and in that regards, personal training, the social interaction with one other person for a long period of time?
Man, I mean, I think I was just bad at maintaining a conversation with people before, I wasn't good at it. And then being forced to be the person to initiate the subjects and the questions and be like, oh, how was it, how's your day at work or at school or whoever you're training, right? I was never the one to ask those things. I was just the guy like just responding to stuff and whatever.
You're the passive guy.
Very passive. And that was a new skill set for me. That was hard to develop, and it was something I was like, wow, I really have to like take charge of things and be confident, because confidence was always something that was hard for me. That was always really tough, to just be put on the spot or be in front of people. So
did you used to, when I would present in high school, I used to like shake, and I could,
dude,
my heart rate would fucking fly through the roof.
That's my nightmare.
Like,
don't let me present, please. No.
No, Johnny, you can go, bro. I'll just stand back here.
You present, man. I'm sitting.
Man. That's funny. Like I remember I used to literally get the craziest like sense of butterflies and sickness in my stomach. And I would shake, and like you could hear the quiver in my voice,
Same.
Which actually, remember when we were doing was it No Bowl, the first day at No Bowl recently? Do you remember that? It was like you were a little nervous at first. I was like, I didn't have anything prepared. I was talking to 40
just
people.
like making stuff up. Oh, that's like the worst case scenario. Make stuff up in front of a huge group of people.
It's 7:35 on a Saturday morning, and there's 40 people just staring at me, and I have to talk.
Come on, give me value.
After he was like, he gave me like he said something like, I believe he's one of the best young minds in the nutrition world, and I was like, oh my God, what?
Like what?
They're expecting like a fucking Greek philosopher to come out and talk about food. So yeah, I mean, and you could obviously still tell, like you probably have those moments sometimes where you're like in the middle of a session and it's been like 3 sets and no one has said anything, and you're like, oh, I should probably start a conversation.
Yeah, yeah, dude. Oh man,
Like, what
that
do I
definitely
want to
happens.
talk about? Uh, hmm. Yeah, how about next week is it's Halloween. Yeah. So what are you doing?
Oh, it's tough too. It depends on the person, right? Like the client, some
Yeah.
clients just talk, and that's great, and you just kind of flow and go with whatever. But then some people, like, you ask them a question, they're just like, "Yep,
Yeah.
okay."
Okay, I was looking for a little more than that.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm trying to talk here. I don't know.
Yeah. It wasn't even a yes or no question. You said yep.
How was school
Okay.
this week? Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. It is funny how that, and then you try not to, but you like start to psychoanalyze people, right? Where you're like,
Mhm.
wonder what makes this person like this. And like
Yeah.
that's one thing that I've noticed for sure that has like gone from me just doing that more and more with a person one-on-one to like me just walking around and like
Dude.
any part of
Yeah.
life, like you're in
Mhm.
a grocery store and you see someone act a certain way, or like you get a certain aura vibe and you're just like, what makes them tick like that? Like what drives
Yeah.
them? What is the differentiator for them versus me, right? Do you find yourself doing that more?
Oh, I do it. I do it so much, and I
You
just
try
like,
not to like judge. You're
right,
you're trying to come from a place of like just genuine like
like understanding of the
interest.
concept,
Yeah,
right? Like I
yeah,
put
interest
myself
and
in the
understanding.
situation, and I'm like, okay, if I'm acting like this, like if I'm like screaming at someone,
Yeah.
what like made me do that, and like how'd I get to this point? It's like I probably don't take care of myself. I probably don't do this. I've got a rough life at home. I come into the store and they don't have my favorite cereal. And then, oh, this bitch just bumped my cart, and now I can't handle it, and then just popping off. And it's like, obviously I would never do anything like that. That's just like out of character, but I just keep putting myself in their shoes and like make up these stories as to like
Yeah,
why
yeah.
they're acting that way. I'm like, damn, I'm like, I feel bad for you. Like maybe, if we took care of some of these issues, you wouldn't be yelling at people in the middle of a supermarket.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, then sometimes it gets crazy. The stories I tell myself too.
yeah.
You're like, yo,
Go down a
wild.
rabbit hole, dude.
Yeah, yeah. Like, wait. And then like 2 minutes later, you're like, no, probably not. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, you can get lost, man. You just get lost in the sauce. You forget you're like even thinking about it. You're just like
Yeah.
living their life now.
And it's an interesting it's like character development, right? Like
Yep.
as a human being, like that's an interesting part of physical, like personal training that people don't think about. You do initiate
Mm-hmm.
conversation. You have to be the person that holds, maintains, you know, and then at some point you start to realize like, and this is, from a selling standpoint, people would say like manipulate, right? But you have to like, uh, you have to lead people in the direction that you want sometimes. So like lead them to the answer that they're looking for.
Right. Yeah.
Especially I find that in like nutrition coaching, right?
Oh, dude.
Just yeah, like you just ask them a basic question and like they're like, oh no, actually no, I do this. And then you follow up that question, like leading them into the, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, my
Mhm.
bad. No, that makes sense. I should probably stop doing that thing like eating a bag of Oreos at 10 o'clock at night. That probably doesn't help my sleep, which
Yeah.
is
No.
why I feel bad in the morning. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. All right, what and then and like they unveil their own answer
Mhm.
in the sense of like training. You have to do that too. Because people look to us for, they're always asking questions. How can I improve this? What
Mhm.
is this product better for this? And it's like, well, I mean, that's a very hard answer to say, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
With
Are these
nutrition too,
pajamas?
it's tough, man. Like it's such
Yeah.
a wide topic, and so many foods can be great for some people and terrible for the other people.
Mhm.
Some people react differently to different things, and some
I
people are
mean,
restricted.
bro, you're allergic to guys, everyone who's listening, okay? Brad is allergic to everything. Um,
Everything.
and doesn't eat meat, right?
Yeah.
So the ability for him to like have a conversation with a client and they're like, is spinach bad? And you're like, well, if I ate it, I would die actually. But for you, it might be a good option. Yeah, you could throw that in your omelet. How about Brazil nuts? Well, another scenario. I would actually, but peanut butter, I can eat peanut butter.
Yeah, peanut butter's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's a legume. It's a legume,
Yes.
right?
Not a nut.
No. Which is, you know, a whole nother rabbit hole of like people don't understand what category of food things fall into, right?
Right.
Like, oh, I don't eat carbs. Oh, what'd you have for dinner? I had salmon, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, asparagus. It's like you had mostly carbohydrates, actually.
It's like all carbs.
Yeah.
It's not breads or grains, but
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny, and to some extent it's sad to another, right? It's like we as humans, as a society that is so advanced in technology and other things, we have lost all contact with our inner selves. We have no idea how we interact with the world around us naturally, like the nature around us. So when you started this journey, right, for you particularly, like what did you start to clean up from a diet perspective? How did you start to do that? Because
yeah,
I think a lot of people are in your scenario right now. They're aware, because it's hard if you have social media, which is a billion trillion people, right? You have to have some self-awareness that you're not eating healthy. You can't be that arrogant and like just ignorant to it. So if people were in their scenario, your scenario, where you were like, I need to improve, this is probably why like I'm not excelling and feeling good about myself. What do I have to change? Where did you start?
Dude, I was weirdly in one camp, and I'd been in that camp for a long time, which is more than most people, but less than good. I was in the macronutrient camp.
Okay.
Right. So I was like, if I get my macros, I'm good. And I don't care otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm getting them through the worst, most processed sources ever. My pantry was just bars and powders and like whatever else like I could get. Like once I turned plant-based or vegetarian, I went in phases. I got like those burgers, right? It's just a bunch of processed garbage.
Burgers, yeah.
Yeah. And so I had a lot to clean up, and I didn't really get it, you know, because my friend who had taught me everything I knew about nutrition when I was young he's just a macro gym guy. Like that was it. He works out hard and he hits his macros. And like if ice cream fits in, ice cream fits in. You know? And so I knew it was bad. I didn't really understand why or how. I didn't understand that like eating whole foods. I was like, why would I eat berries or a banana? That's just carbs I don't need. It's sugars. You know, it's like just really bad information.
Gotcha.
So I came from there. And so I had a lot of work to do. And then when I came to GNO, opened my eyes a lot, especially because the first thing we did when I came in was Noble.
True. That's
So
wild.
it was yeah, it was like, okay, cut out processed foods, cut out sugars. I was like, what added sugars? What's the difference? You know, what does that mean? And then I like from there learned a good amount, but it gave me the base of understanding of what I needed to know to like look into it more. And then I got I started studying for the NASM nutrition. Never did a certification, but I studied all the stuff. So.
I studied real hard.
Yeah. So I learned how to like apply that to my life. And I think, you know, I doubt my diet's as clean as yours would be, but it's insane the amount of vegetables and whole foods that I eat now and the stuff that I was eating before. Like it's night and day. It's crazy.
Now, obviously it was like a gradual process, which I always try to remind people of when they're coming to me for nutrition. I'm like, if you're 30 years down the rabbit hole of eating like shit, like this is not going to be quick. I'm sorry. I cannot speed this up. Like we have to gradually improve what you're doing. Because if I tell you everything that you're doing wrong, one, you lose all self-respect for yourself,
Oh
right?
my God. Yeah.
Two, you are overwhelmed by the amount of changes. And three, you can only keep that amount of changes up for a short period of time,
Right.
especially with the things like having a family, traveling. If you're a business guy that travels to New York every other day, especially down here, like there's only so much that like you can actually put in place that is going to stick, and you have to do it gradually. So it's hard when you say like, oh, what do you notice a difference in between like your workout quality now based on your food and 2 years ago? And it's like, well, I don't know, it's gradual. It's like like
Yeah.
it's hard to say exactly. But so if you had to say like what you feel different about, or like how your body feels different because of what you've done, can you give any insight? Do you have proof of anything? Some people are like, my skin's better.
Yeah.
Some people are like, my hair and nails actually grow faster. Some people are like, I sleep better. I don't have heartburn. I feel less bloated. I recover faster from a workout. So like, what are some of the things that you've, or maybe even you're thinking about right now that are like
Yeah.
coming
I
to
mean,
mind?
look, to be honest, most of those things, I think like
Okay.
my skin cleared up, like, especially because I started working at the gym
Mm-hmm.
and I was still eating not great, but within my macros, right?
Yeah.
And so I had like a lot of like sweat, and so I would get like acne right here, and I was like, I've
Gotcha.
never had that before. This is terrible. I hate this.
Yeah.
And then as I started cleaning up my diet, I didn't even really realize, I didn't make the connection at first.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like a different soap I was using. And then I was like, wait, I just started like I cut out a lot of processed sugars that I was eating. Like I stopped eating bars,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's part of it being gradual, that I didn't even notice that it was the foods. I thought it was like some specific change and something else I did because we
Yeah.
changed soaps, but I've changed soaps since then and nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Wasn't the deal breaker.
Yeah. So like I feel better sleeping for sure. I used to get heartburn all the time, like that, like up here, I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, it felt like I was like, oh dude, get it out. Like it's
Ugh.
hot, it hurts, like I just felt terrible, and it would happen all the time. That's gone. I don't really have that anymore. I forgot about it until you brought it up.
Sweet.
Um Recovery is definitely better. I mean, there's just so many things I added in all like throughout a year and a half, right, of time
Yeah.
that just led to a lot of good results. And I think that's, along with the fitness and strength training too, and the
Mm-hmm.
nutrition, those big.
So now let's love that, obviously, because it's so vital.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk actual fitness. So being an athlete, right? Someone who played multiple sports as a kid, you have to think that helped, right? Like your ability to be kinesthetically aware. You were exposed to a lot of different things.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Do you still highly recommend that people, especially like young kids, continue to try to do that?
I think that's like essential. And I don't care if you're an athlete
Yeah.
or whatever, like just getting out and doing stuff builds that ability for you to be an athlete. Like I don't think I was born some super athlete guy who's like definitely going to college,
Yeah, yeah.
but I was born in an environment with my parents who both like sports. So I was just put in situations where I was just exposed to this all the time from like a very like young age, like as a baby, with those little basketball hoops,
Yeah, yeah, of course.
whatever. Like that's fun.
Yeah,
It doesn't
yeah.
matter who you are, and like you just want to dunk the ball. Like that's great. So I would do all those things as a little kid and like play stuffed animal football and like just run around on the playground and grab things and jumping off stuff was my favorite. But like you got to do those things because those build to the other stuff that now you're like, oh, you're an athlete. It's like Yeah, but it's just built on all of those years of like doing random things throughout your life and getting those muscles aware and ready to go. It's like I'm not just like you're not a genetic freak, I'm not a genetic freak, but we're just
No.
dudes who did stuff.
Yeah, bro. If you named like every sport activity, there would probably be like 10% of them that I haven't done.
Yeah.
The other
right.
90%, whether it was pogo sticks, razor scooters,
Mhm.
rollerblading, skateboarding,
All of them.
runt bikes, regular bikes, everything on a playground, basketball, football,
Get me hyped up now.
baseball, wiffle ball, softball, uh I mean trampoline,
Ooh. Yeah, but
which is I think is a huge one that people miss out on.
yeah.
What else? Basketball, I said, baseball, I said, hockey, I played hockey, I
Same,
rollerbladed. It's like yeah, so like when I learn something physically very quickly, it's not because I mean water sports, right?
Yep.
You got wrecked a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But like tubing, kneeboarding, wakeboarding,
Wakeboarding, skiing, yeah.
water skiing, right? Like, yes, it's a luxury to be exposed to some of these, but a lot of them you can easily for $5 to $15 go like play in your backyard,
Yeah.
right? And it is a blessing too that we grew up in families that like saw the value in that, right? Because
Yeah.
some kids don't have parents that'll play with them, which is sad, right? You like see
Yeah.
but I think that comes down to like they weren't exposed to it, they don't see the value in it, and that's passed on generationally, right? So
Yeah. For
they're not
sure.
people who are kinesthetically aware, and they're probably just disconnected from their body in general, right?
Mhm.
Swimming, right, is another one, dude. Like
Oh man.
we talk
Yeah.
about water sports, but like just in general, swimming, right? Like being around water, being in water, getting fucking held down underwater by your big brother or whatever,
Yeah,
like
yeah, whatever it
your
is, man. You
cousin.
got to figure it out.
Yeah. So when I pick something up, like people are like, "How do you do rope flow so easily?" And I'm like, "Well, I have an extreme awareness of my body and space because
Right.
I've put it through so many weird random things.
Mhm.
You love to jump off stuff. I love to climb stuff. I was a tree
Yeah.
climber,
Oh,
bro.
climbing
Like,
stuff's fun too, man.
yeah, bro. I mean, climbing trees is a
Whew.
day in the life. That's like
Yeah.
so fun.
It's
um,
awesome.
it is awesome. Feel like a monkey. And like I still like to do in college, I would go all the time. There was a little park by the Charles River, and I
Mhm.
would go park over there by myself and fucking just lay. I would climb a tree and like lay in the branch and just like chill for like 10-15 minutes. And it's not like it had to be a day. Like I would,
Mhm.
like I always say microdosing. I think I've told you that before, right? Like
Yeah.
microdose exercise or activity, or like you know, take a 10-minute nap, or like at least lay down, close your eyes, turn your phone off, and like try to, if you're tired,
Mhm.
like your body will get better at shutting off quicker.
Hey, you got to practice anything.
Yeah, you can practice, exactly. You can practice anything. And I think, you work with a lot of athletes right now.
Mhm.
And I got out of the athlete realm because I realized that like they just want so specific. And yes, there's value in that. But
Yeah.
it's like I'm not gonna give you, a sport specific exercise that's very high impact if you can't do a basic split squat calf raise, right? Like why am I gonna what
And
is
they
the
get so
value?
mad when you won't give them. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
do the thing I don't need. I'm like, no, stop it.
Like, okay, yes, you have a high ceiling right now, but your ceiling, the more you the more you touch that ceiling, the more likely it is to crumble because your base is shit. Like
Oh, dude.
you have nothing holding it up.
Every athlete, I think, especially me back in high school.
Yeah,
That's
no,
all I
dude.
did.
I mean, speak on injuries for a second. Did you get injured a lot playing?
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's hear all your injuries. This is
All
always
right.
fun.
So I was just like, just strain after whatever muscular
Mhm.
thing. I had SI problems in my back. And then I just had chronic patellar tendonitis,
Mhm.
and it just never went away. Like, it was warm up an hour before any activity,
Mhm.
do the activity in a lot of pain, cool down after an ice bath, and feel no better.
Mm.
No matter what. I just like watched people on TV jumping and landing, and it just made me wince. Like, anytime I saw someone absorb impact with their legs, I was like, ah, you know. So I
Yeah.
was just living as a perpetually injured person because I was doing plyometrics and because I was jumping, 6 days a week. I was doing practices, maybe multiple practices, and then tournaments on the weekend, and there's just no
Mhm.
rest. And I wasn't lifting the right way, and I didn't have any coaches or anyone that would they didn't tell me the right things. I had the coaches.
Yeah, yeah.
No one told me the stuff that you could tell me, I could tell me back then.
Yeah.
It's not hard
Which
stuff.
sucks. Yeah. No, it's not hard stuff, but it sucks because like coaches, especially on like a middle school, high school level, like my dad was my middle school basketball coach, right?
Mhm.
For a year. Um, he didn't have any fucking certification. He didn't know anything,
He's just
right?
some
Like,
guy, right?
yeah, he's just like, I played high school basketball. Sure, run up and do some suicides. And
Mhm.
if you guys miss layups, you do more suicides, and then we'll
Yeah.
play. And good. There you good. You're good. I
Good
think you're
stuff,
good.
guys.
Yeah. Oh, you're hurt. Just put some ice on it after, and it's like, and it's not a fault to him.
No,
It's
not at
not a
all.
fault to coaches, unfortunately. I wish more coaches would take initiative and like have some self-awareness that they could deploy upon their younger
Mhm.
individuals, right? And like mentees. Because when I thought of teachers as a kid, it was like this old wise person who has gone through so much and has things to like relate to and share with, right?
Yeah.
People that they're teaching. And that can fall in the realm of like coaches,
Mhm.
teachers, right? Everybody is a student. And when you get to a point and you're like realizing, like, especially when you're in college and you're like, Jesus, like Sarah, who gets plastered every fucking Saturday night, is going to teach kindergartners like Monday through Friday.
Dude, that's
You're
like
like,
everyone, every
yeah, and
kindergarten teacher.
you're like, gosh, like why, why, like there has to be, we've like lost a semblance of like elderness, right? Like
Yeah.
respect your elders and like put people in charge who like actually have done the thing before.
Dude.
And it's weird that like it just naturally doesn't occur more that way. And it's sad, but you would think as like a collegiate level coach that you would have some desire in the back of your head to know a little bit more about how you can make your players better. And
Dude.
like physically you would think that would be where it starts. And maybe it's because they just think they know it, and it's like arrogance, and it's like well, my coach made me run 25, so you're going to run at least 20.
Yeah.
It's like,
Work
I'm
for
not
me.
going soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but did it work for you? Like, you can't even jump anymore. You're 40 and
Yeah.
like you can't jump because your knees hurt. So why are we, keeping the ball rolling in the wrong direction? So did a lot of that fuel your desire to get into this? Because I know it fueled like mine. The story with Haley getting injured and me wanting
Yeah.
to do that. And I had this similar issues of like herniated discs and low SI joint pain, strained hamstring,
Mhm.
broken foot,
Yeah.
broken nose. So like I've gone through that too. And it's a huge thing for me. Patella tendonitis is how I found isotonics.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
So my coworker was like, "Oh, I had tendonitis for a while too, and like take this, and obviously that was a band-aid,
Yeah.
but it was a fucking damn good band-aid, and it
Yeah.
covered the issue until I learned more,
Mhm.
and I taught myself how to get out of that perpetual state of like, ow, my knees fucking hurt all the time.
Dude, yeah.
So that clearly has to drive you a little bit, right?
Oh my dude, that's yeah, definitely one of my main drivers was, how do I fix this? How do I tell other people how to fix this? Because everyone's doing the exact same thing, and I see it it's like the only thing I see, especially because I'm working with athletes and stuff. They're all doing it, and then they're all asking for more of the things that will hurt them
Yeah.
because they don't understand. That's the problem. It's
And it's
the
not
education,
flashy.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in like we need to it's so weird. Uh, Quick tangent. When I graduated college, right? The teacher that I went head to head, like banged heads with the most, right? She's an awesome lady, but like she was like the head of our department. And she was an athletic trainer. And so she actually like was hands-on in the field for a while, and then she became a professor. And when I graduated, we were actually on like a really good page. But for 3 to 4 years while I was getting, my degree, like we bumped heads all the time. And she was my teacher quite a few times. And when I graduated, she was like so nice and just like, great job. I'm so proud of you for getting through this. And she goes, are you gonna come back? Like you want to do more school? And I was like, no, absolutely not. And she's like, I think you're gonna be a teacher one day. And she
Wow.
just said it to me like that. And I was like, yeah, okay. But then more and more I think about it, I'm like, well, like I kind of want to like host, like seminars, and I want to do
Yeah, right.
workshops, and I want to like, not in the traditional sense of teach, but like I want to share the information more. I want to like go work with a local school and do like a workshop and like show them anatomy stuff. Like a fifth
Dude,
grader
yeah.
is more than comprehensible for that.
Mhm.
And like you're telling me that if I can hold their attention, 30 minutes is not crazy. Like they get really bored when they're in the same classroom for 5.5 hours straight, for sure.
Yeah, of
Right.
course.
And it's the same person for 280 days of the year.
Mhm.
But when they have someone come in and they can give you 30 to 45 minutes of like information and teach you about your body and make you do fun stuff, like
Yeah.
I think that's a niche. There's a realm there of like opportunity to teach the youth, like, here's your body, like here's how it works, here's why it's important.
Dude. Yeah, I think teach has kind of been lost in the current system.
Yeah.
Whatever the education system is, no fault to the teachers, right? But it's not effective.
No.
It's not the right
It's-
way to impart wisdom. Like if we're thinking of like teach and you're thinking of elders and imparting wisdom and guiding people to their better future, like 100% that's not what's happening in schools at
Experiential is
all.
like what.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
remember my sixth, like, dude, something I remember vastly, like sixth grade science class, we actually, for like once a week, we would actually go outside. We had it's called Roger Williams Park. So it's this big like man-made waterway, right, that had river coming into it, and big park. And we would like actually go over there and actually like look at the things in the water and like take samples of stuff, and like
dude,
that was the fucking best class ever,
that's
dude.
so
Like,
cool. Yeah.
like true story, that teacher was actually a pedophile and got arrested when I was a junior in high school, which is weird. But the class was great.
The class was great.
Like the fact that he actually brought us outside, right? And like,
Yeah.
oh, science class outside, fucking mind-boggling. Like,
So cool, dude. Yeah. And that makes you want to learn those things and go engage with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. For 10 years, I had a frog that we had as a class pet in second grade. And we offered it up at the end of the year, but like every day a different kid had to go feed the frog, and then we would actually like clean the tank as a class. Like little shit like that is 100%. I gotta feel like it's been lost. And like we have a lot of teachers at the gym. I talk to a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like Susan, for one, she tries to incorporate a lot of different things, but then she gets yelled at if she's not doing the things that are on the curriculum, right? And it's like,
Yeah. Oh man.
and it's hard. It's hard to balance. And the curriculum is like, share with them this information, then test them on it.
Yep.
And that's the give and take, give and take, give and take, and that's it. Give them information, take away confidence because they don't remember it. Give away information, take away confidence. It's like,
destroy their souls.
yeah. And at the same time, physically put them in a weird state where they're not actually moving, they're not actually up and
Mhm.
like interacting. And you sit for hours and hours and hours, and it can't be fun. I'm glad I'm not growing up as a kid right now. I think it'll make a turn before, my kids in school. But if it doesn't, we have to talk about the like, is it really beneficial? Like,
Yeah, dude.
the social aspect of going to school, obviously there. It's great, it's much needed, but there's other ways to do that as well. So it's scary now being a parent, a future
Uh-huh.
parent, but I think it fuels me more to want to like
Figure this stuff out
teach,
and
yeah,
teach.
and
Yeah.
just create. If we're going to create a curriculum, it should be about experiences. It should be about self-awareness and knowledge,
Dude.
emotional intelligence, those sorts of things.
Yeah,
The
man.
intangibles.
I 100% agree with that. That's
Yeah.
the same stuff I've been thinking. Anytime I think of the education system, I think that's the stuff that's lost, and that's the stuff that I personally struggled with
Mhm.
because of it. Like I went through that system. I
Yeah.
was a product of it.
Yeah.
And then
sure.
it sucked. It was terrible. It was like I got lucky. I kind of like mentally broke out of the cage that it put me in. But
What do you think broke you out of it?
I really just think it was the rock bottom. Like I think it sucks, but for a lot of people it just takes like you just have to like see that there's no other way out other than just getting better and finding the way out and finding solutions and improving. Like
Feel better about yourself by doing
yeah,
stuff.
because I had no confidence in myself. I felt useless and just what else to do? You got to do something. So you have to start looking and you have to start self-reflecting and figure out what it is that you're trying to do. And without that, like you're lost. And I think the school system's definitely without that. So
Yeah. On a big scale, right? Like
yeah.
there's no denying that. Especially the COVID thing fucked it all up. It's wild.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's even worse now. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's sad, dude. It really is. Um, so so obviously you have a lot of passion, you have a lot of skin in the game, right? Like you have a lot of reason to go out there, help people. You have a lot of reason to maintain at the very least yourself, and improve yourself is really what you're driving, and what you're doing every day is improving yourself. So how are you translating that? What does that mean to Octane Fitness? What do you want to turn Octane Fitness into? Actually, let's just start. What is Octane to you? What does that mean to you?
Octane to me is just building resilience in a lot of different ways. Octane is literally like the resilience of a fuel to combustion, right? So like kind of things there, driving your fire like your fuel, but also being resilient and getting tough, because things would beat me down. I got really low. I hit that rock bottom, and to climb out, I had to kind of get tough and do the things, the hard things, the looking at yourself and being like, damn, I'm doing it wrong. Like this isn't the right stuff, where do I go from here? Understanding I have to ask questions and go further. Understanding you need to challenge yourself and push through the pain. Exercise is a perfect example. If you challenge yourself, you will grow. If you don't, you will stay stagnant. And that's just the way it is. If you do absolutely nothing, you will go in reverse. It's not, it's not crazy to think about, but to me, it just Octane is me trying to bring those principles to people through fitness, through nutrition, help people mentally understand what they can do to have like a growth mindset to achieve the things they want to do, to break out of this mental space that I think most people are in right now, that I was in, and
Yeah.
that, you know, pretty much almost broke me.
So what's your ideal demographic? We talked about like like a mental state almost, right? But like
Mhm.
what age, gender, lifestyle do you think fits that mold the most?
I really do think it's most people. I think, athletes are my wheelhouse, and that's kind of what I'm working on now.
Okay.
But I do think that, the person who's working the 9 to 5, the person who's struggling with these things and just going day to day, that's the person that I kind of want to appeal to on a large scale, and like
Yeah.
help out maybe the kids or the people that are coming out of college or coming out of high school, and they're just trying to figure out what's going on. If I can impart this to them early on before they have to go through the stuff that I did, that would be great. Help them learn from my mistakes, learn from the mistakes of a million other people. This has happened a billion times in the past.
Yeah.
I understand this isn't a unique situation. It's happened to so many people, but since it happened to me, let me be a vessel to help these people, whoever. I really think it's those who are, you have to be willing to change. Like, you have to have decided that you want to be better. And that's what I want to help people. Once you're there, let me help you, because I can't change your mind for you.
Yeah. Lead a horse to water, but different story to get it to drink it, right? So
Yeah.
I love that. I truly agree. My whole spiel and stick, and like that's why we align so much, and we've talked about so many things. And I definitely I want us to work together in some capacity, because
Oh, 100%, dude.
I know it's just like we genuinely have so much to
Yeah.
vibe
If
with
we
and go on and
see eye to eye
work
on
so many
most
things.
things, yeah.
Yeah. And when it comes to how you are unveiling this information and leading these people in a direction, what are you using? How are you going about that? You're going from one-on-one perspective, correct? An online programming perspective in which it's like more DIY, like you give them the program, they
Yeah.
have correlating videos to watch,
Uh-huh.
and they just kind of do it their own. They check in every 3 to 4 weeks.
Yeah, so I would say messaging with them. So throughout their process, just kind of see, after workouts, how they're feeling, and substitute exercises here and there. So it's mostly a messaging part for that, and then check in video like maybe once a month or so, just to kind of see how they're going. But I want it to be more than just the exercise too. So kind of relate to them and get them in a chat group and talk and discuss how they're feeling, and just the kind of stuff that we talk about here. But in the one-on-one, it's trying to bring those elements of getting better, the growth mindset, understanding that you have to do the hard things, getting those mental things in there, I think is really important.
Yeah.
And it will drive a lot of the success for those people.
Yeah, and just relating the exercise to other things in life.
Yeah.
Especially with younger.
Oh yeah, for
younger
the
people.
athletes, man, you have to tell them why.
Yeah, dude, you got it. They need to understand why they're doing something. I mean, if we did a drill back in the day, and I had to figure out why,
Yeah,
like
you're like,
why the
what's
fuck?
this good for, man?
Yeah,
Why am
yeah.
I doing this?
Like, this is dumb. Why am I here? And yeah, I guess I mean, that's what it's about, right? So you're offering programming online, virtually, through an app.
Yeah.
Did you create your own app? I didn't
No,
know how to
no. I
figure that
mean, I would be capable of doing that.
out. Okay.
I've done it before,
Okay.
but the overhead is more than it costs for me to pay per month to use like Trainerize and then get
Gotcha.
my like Octane version of it, right?
Yeah. Gotcha.
So it's like,
So you have a white label.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
That's cool. I'm probably gonna ask you about that afterwards.
Okay, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So when you are onboarding a client, you're trying to find, obviously, if they're qualified to work with you, right? Like if they fit some of these molds.
Yeah.
And then once they're going, it's so hard to like normalize the timeline that people have in their minds, and like where they you know actually are and where they're trying to go, and like what especially if you're not hands on, right? Because people can, someone in Boulder, Colorado could, take your program and start working on it. What is that looking like from a timeline perspective? Are you bringing everyone in the same way and like doing a baseline, or are you just kind of like getting a real niche call with them? It's like, where are you starting? What are you capable of? And then so is it more program or is it more individualized, I guess is a question.
Yeah, I actually have like tiers, right? So I'll do the cheapest tier per month or whatever is the one where it's programmed. Like follow this, and working with like trying to get like my old club team, OBV, I would get those athletes and get them all on that, okay,
Gotcha.
this is the OBV program for athletes of this age trying to get to college, because it all makes sense. I'm like, okay, we need to make sure that your knees you're not gonna have patellar tendonitis, you're not gonna get injured before you go to college, like that kind of stuff. And then the next tier up is customized programming. So I talk to you, we figure out what your goals are, I just build like what you want. Like, is it more for like, oh, you're just like trying to get huge? That
Yeah.
looks completely different from someone who's living the general wellness and trying to just be functionally fit and achieve their goals and do,
Might have some
some,
previous injuries or something that they
yeah,
need
previous
more
injuries and doing that.
customized
Yeah.
work around. Yeah.
So there's just those kind of things. And then the programs, there's different ones that I would have, general ones. And then with the custom ones, I just completely write it. Like each week I'll write you your whatever it is. If that's 3 workouts a week, that's cool. If it's less or more, it's up to you. And then we just kind of go with your goals and
Sweet.
stuff like
So
that.
if people wanted to reach out to you for your help, people that are listening, what's the best way to do it?
Instagram's pretty good. Octane Functional Fitness or Brad Thele. That's me.
That's me.
Yeah, you can go to bradthele.com as well. It's got like the little Facebook Messenger button, so you can just
Cool.
do that.
Yeah, I remember. I remember that.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I gotta check that out. I didn't know you had a bradthele.com.
Oh yeah, I had it forever, man. It was my resume for school. So I just like
Oh,
I
okay.
had it, and then I just kind of put it into the Octane space because I'm like, I don't need a IT resume anymore. So
Yeah. That makes sense. That's what's up. I work for myself. I don't need a resume.
yeah.
All right. Let's end with some quick calls to action or questions.
Sure.
All right, name 2 people that you really respect and follow in the functional fitness realm.
In the functional fitness realm.
Like, all right, let's say this: 2 people that you recommend people follow.
That I
In that
recommend
realm,
people
in that realm.
follow. So there's one I like specifically for my interests. Marcus Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like his style. He's got like that bodybuilding, bro lifting stuff, but he goes on with some more functional things that
Yeah.
I like as well. And
Metcon and functional for sure.
yeah. And so I don't really prescribe to like one idea of fitness. Like he's got his idea, everyone's got their own ideas. I don't think there's like the true answer. I think it's all
No,
like on a spectrum.
it's a
And
level of what you enjoy and what you want. Yeah.
exactly what you want, what you enjoy, your goals align somewhere on there, and we get you those things. And then everything has to be for each person, right? So I wouldn't say like, oh, that's the Bible. Go follow Marcus Philly, bro.
Yeah.
He's got it all, But I think he's got some really cool stuff, and I like the way he thinks because there's some stuff I like to do in there. For
And the way he
me,
carries himself, right? Like he's
yeah,
just a cool guy.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's great. And then like I wouldn't recommend some of that stuff for a lot of people.
Mhm.
It just depends, right? And
Yeah.
then Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy.
Yeah.
I think he gets down a rabbit hole sometimes,
Yeah.
but I love some of the exercises he's done. I've incorporated a lot of it. But again, I think it's, it's down one way, and I think it could be like great for a lot of people, but it's not the one thing I follow.
Yeah, but it's good to be exposed, right?
Yeah, dude, that
thought
like
process.
it was one of the first things I did. I did his program
Yeah.
just to like open my mind to something. I was like, what is this guy talking about? That's the thing they tell you not to do.
Yeah.
And then I
Wow.
was like, wow, that's actually really cool stuff. But I don't want to base my whole experience around just one perspective.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. 100%. Okay. Your two favorite hobbies. I know them, but
Well,
I'll give you three because I know you.
Yeah.
I know you need three.
yeah. We'll say gaming is probably the one that, I'm a tech guy. I love games. Me and Nachi both play, like that's what we do when she comes home.
Yeah.
She's like, yo,
If
let's
you
like
couldn't
hop on.
notice, guys, if you're listening, there's actually like 5 monitors on the desk behind
There's one
Brad.
right here too.
Yeah.
You guys are on two on right here.
Mind-boggling. I'm
Got
on
two
one
out there,
small
got two out
laptop.
Yeah. So definitely gaming. I think it's an escape, but it's also pretty valuable when it comes to the competitive environment and being able to like weather those situations and deal with stress and be a team and work together. Those are
I heard
skills.
a podcast they were talking about actual like correlated studies between memory, cognition, alertness. There was carryover because especially in like something like a first shooter, like the reaction times that you have to have. Yeah.
It's
So
crazy.
there's definitely value. I loved playing video games when I was younger. I didn't stick with it, but you can if you're not using it as an escape, I think it's extremely beneficial.
Yeah. That's how I feel, and I've used it as an escape, and I've used it as something constructive, and I can tell you, like, when it's constructive, it's like pretty crazy. It's kind of empowering, like it's cool.
Yeah.
It's
Tom
really cool.
Villieu is a huge gamer too.
Yeah, bro, he plays Destiny.
Yeah. He talks about it. He's like, no, like this is crazy. I love it. Like
I love that he talks about it because I felt that same way when he said that. I was like, oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate
normalized
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. You got gaming. I think I know your other two.
Gaming, volleyball, the obvious one, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's something. But then when it comes to the other ones, there's a lot of things I like, but skateboarding's definitely got to be up there. And I can't do it that much right now because if I hurt myself, I can't play volleyball and I can't train people.
Yes. Yeah, that's not fun. That's the downside of our job. Us being like action seek adventuring.
Yeah. So I'll have to probably go with rock climbing now because
bouldering.
That's the juice.
I knew that's what you were gonna say. That was what I was like. I was like, I know volleyball and bouldering, and then I was like, oh no, gaming. He needs three.
Yeah, gaming, bro.
Yeah. All right. Favorite book you've ever read?
Favorite book I've ever read. Oof. Let's do series, and I'll say like when I was a kid, there was two, and it was Aragon and Pendragon.
Interesting. I don't know either one of those.
Dude,
okay.
yeah. I mean, I'm a big fan of world building, fantastical worlds, different universes, that kind of stuff. That's all.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
The metaverse type of
Oh,
stuff.
dude, yeah. Big time. All into it.
Cool. All right. Your all-time favorite exercise?
All-time favorite exercise, like for fun or for development?
Development.
Development, Bulgarian split squat.
Nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's respectable.
And like weird variations.
Yeah. Odd forms of that.
Yeah.
Love that.
I mean, like that's just night and day with my legs, like what I can do and what I'm able to do now from when I started that.
Night and day.
Crazy.
That's what's up. All right, now you get to ask me one question, any question, whatever it is.
Any question. Whew. Man, it's a good one. What's your 5-year goal with Limitless Theory?
Wow. So you are aware of a lot of the different aspects of limitless theory. And I think a lot of my listeners that are consistent are for sure. So the nutrition, the fitness, and the economical aspects, the goal, I originally created limitless theory with the idea of having a life where I could be wherever I wanted, right? And be able to take care of my clients, my customers, and my patients in a very low volume of actual people that I'm helping with my hands only, and at a very deep level with multiple sources and services, right?
Yeah.
So providing the physical aspect of it. So it's massage therapy in the form of like, cupping, Graston, all of the tissue work, right? It's physical therapy in the sense of like avoiding, preparing for a surgery, avoiding surgery, recovering from surgery. And it's the personal strength and conditioning aspect of bridging the gap, right? Of coming back from an injury, maintaining the activity that you like to do. If you're 40 years old and you like to play tennis, how can I help you continue to do that? So that's the fitness aspect of it, the nutritional aspect of it, the lifestyle coaching, working on sleep, working on actually what you're putting in your body, the quality of the stuff that you're consuming, both diet wise, and all of that stuff. And beverage wise, like food and beverage, I should say. So that's the new nutritional aspect. And with that would also be like supplementation, the support. So Nutrimetrics, all of the products that I offer that help people fill in the gaps and help people get to goals in a certain amount of time, right? And then there's the economical aspect of like, I'm a healthcare provider and I can help my 10 to 20 customers at a very deep level and not have to fly through them like your generic doctor who like sees 35 people a day, right?
Yeah.
So how can I implement what I'm doing into other healthcare professionals' practices and communities? So taking the idea of like, okay, I can teach my nutrition understanding and I can teach these practitioners more alternative, customized ways to prevent injury and disease and actually prevent all of this stuff. So how can I intertwine our like minds, our like communities, and give them the tools to help their people?
Yeah.
So the goal for Limitless Theory is to have my 10 to 20 customers that I'm constantly working with, and there's turnover in there. Obviously, I don't want to
Of
just
course.
hold on to somebody for life all the time. But then there's the aspect of I want 10 to 20 practitioners that I'm quarterbacking and watching and helping, and they are translating all of that stuff to their people as well. So that's tied into the whole marketamericaandshop.com where I'm helping people nutritionally and with nutraceuticals and all of that stuff, and the healthcare provider I'm working with is making more money as well, and
Nice.
they get to focus on their 10 to 20 customers and patients as opposed to, once again, trying to make money from insurance companies and the turnover rate. So improving their client and patient outcomes and also their income. So that's the ultimate goal, is to I've acquired my customers. I'm acquiring my basis of clients and all of that. Ultimately, the goal is to get to a point where I can say no to people here because I know that I'm helping other practitioners help 20 to 30 people of their own. That's the ultimate goal.
Awesome, dude. Wow. Good answer.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I have it broken down into maybe, certain bricks or steps along the way, but that's ultimately where I've been heading and what I've seen since I started it in college. So
Cool. Boom.
that's the premise, man. That's the premise, which, like I said before, I think we can do a lot of stuff together to help people in so many different ways, which
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's been awesome, even just learning newer things about you here. I knew most of, everything, but I think people too are just going to get so much value from what you've shared, how you've unveiled it and been vulnerable about it. So do you have anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
Just do yourself a favor and try to be mindful, be present. If you haven't meditated before, you should try it.
There you go. I like that. Hell yeah. Coming from the guy that was extremely anxious about everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do things that make you feel like you're meditating. I think that's a
Yes.
good one too.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah. And there's a balance, right? Because like, oh, like basketball make me feel better. It's like, okay, but you're still gonna feel like shit afterwards if you don't deal with any of your
Yeah.
problems, right? Like you're gonna feel good there, and like the dopamine will last a little while, but you're still gonna go home and like have all the issues.
Yeah. Gotta get that parasympathetic system going. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love that, man. That's a good one. Just sit down and think about your thoughts.
Take the time. Be present, man. It's people think that they might be present, but
Yeah.
I guarantee you, if you haven't thought about it, you're definitely not present most of the time.
It's a valid point. Appreciate that, dude. For everybody listening, obviously, reach out to Brad. Go talk to him, whether you just want to talk to him about your story and what you're going through, whether you really think he can help you in the aspect of, fitness or athletic training for your sport. I've seen him at work. I've been lucky enough to work alongside him. He knows what he's doing. He's very open to learning, and he's learning from a lot of the right people. So definitely reach out and definitely try out Octane Fitness and what it has to offer.
Thanks, man.
Of course, bro. I'm excited. You're just diving into it and going out on your own and going for it.
Yeah.
So
All said, man.
yeah, it's
the only way to go.
it's wild. I commend you a lot for that, dude. Takes a lot of balls. So
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah.
of course.
That was sketchy.
Yeah, it's always sketchy. We gotta catch up, we gotta chill.
For sure.
Do Amy, Nachi, just get together and hang out.
Yeah.
Everybody listening, as always, we are, life is limitless. Keep your fuel going, your inner octane resilient portion of your burning flame going. And until next time, live limitless. Peace out.
Peace.